All right, today we're going to do a video on the Lindy effect. This is a concept that I learned about from Nassim Taleb's works, The Black Swan and Anti-Fragile, both very useful books for investors. Basically, the idea comes from Broadway, and somebody once realized that the longer a play or a musical lives on Broadway, survives on Broadway, the longer it will survive. And so it's just sort of, on one level, very circular logic and kind of tautological, but what it does is it gets you to think about why something lasts, and it gives you just an obvious indicator of the sustainability of something, just the fact that it's been around for a long time. It just gets you to think, maybe we don't always know why something survives, but this indicator itself, it's a powerful indicator. So then you think about, okay, the Iliad, Homer's Iliad. Why are we still reading this, right? Why do we still have the Bible? Why do we still have Shakespeare? It's because there's something truly enduring about these works, and as a result, they survive, right? And of course, there's many reasons why, but just the endurance itself is the biggest indicator. So when you look at investing, the ways you would apply this is you would think about, okay, let's say a company has a moat around its business, a good set of barriers to entry. The longer those barriers to entry are in place, probably that means that they're going to be sustainable for a long time. So the demonstration of that barrier to entry indicates that it's sustainable. Again, tautological, but still useful. You could also think about consumer product brands. Some of the best, most loved brands have been around for a very long time. And Coke's been around for more than a century. You think about maybe the cigarette brand Marlboro, which there hasn't been any cigarette advertising for decades, and yet this brand is still a very popular, very successful brand. I don't know why, but it just is, right? And this gives you an indication of the value of the franchise that owns that brand. So these are just other ways to think about things. And then to flip it and take the idea of new things, this Lindy effect indicates that you probably should not trust too much a brand new brand. You want to wait for that brand to demonstrate itself, because most brands don't last that long. It's very difficult to create a very new brand. One example that might come to mind is if you look at, say, footwear. Nike has been a very dominant Lindy brand, but Under Armour and some of the other brands that are trying to break into this world maybe aren't so Lindy. We'll see, right? And then you can turn this also towards your information gathering strategy. And in fact, I did a video on the topic of avoiding all new investing books, or avoiding all recent investing books. That was video 146. Take a look at that if you're curious. Basically, it's the same idea. Most investing books, for a lot of reasons, are not that useful when they first come out. And then really, maybe there's much more value in investing books that have been around for a long time. So, for example, in my case, I've been spending more time reading things from the 50s, the 60s, even the 1920s or the early 20th century about investing and about patterns. In fact, we can take this one step further and think about, in general, your information gathering. Maybe you should avoid all day-to-day news or a lot of day-to-day news and instead read history, right? And what does that do? That gets you away from short-term noise. It gets you away from being alarmed out of your Lindy positions, your Lindy stocks, by short-term news that may not even matter another year or 10 years from now. And it gets you to think much longer term, and maybe starts to get you investing with a much longer term time frame. Probably that'll be more profitable. And then to take this Lindy effect actually completely out of investing, I even have a heuristic that kind of helps me navigate modernity. I avoid all pharmaceutical products that haven't been on the market for at least 5 to 10 years. And if you think about that, you think about, say, a new med or a new novel biotherapy, for example, that we won't name. It comes out with a lot of fanfare. It passes the FDA trial process or whatever. But it's only later that you start to learn real-world information about its effectiveness, or maybe harms that a new pharmaceutical pill or something might introduce into a population, right? So you need to see that next step, which is some Lindy time of a new med or a new therapy, before you trust yourself to sort of risk your own body or your own health on that thing, right? So it's another sort of application of Lindy, and it really is something that's useful for all phases of all types of domains in modernity, but obviously specifically useful for our investing and to protect you from chasing the new too much and to keep you more long-term focused on what's truly sustainable. And this will protect your family's capital. Okay? So as always, I thank you for watching.